Like Mrs. Nagel said, my name is Will Baker. I own a video production company, and I work with many nonprofit organizations and small businesses to help them share their message with more people. I also write essays and think pieces, some of which have been published in online magazines, but many of which have been just self-published, much to the annoyance of my friends and family who have to read them. At Meet the Teacher Night, I introduced myself to Mrs. Nagel, and she suggested I present a writer's workshop. And when she did, my imposter syndrome kicked in. I don't know if any of you know what that means, but it means that basically someone finally found out I don't actually know what I'm doing. After all these years, I've been caught. So I opened up my Google Slides and I started to think about all of the writerly things I know. You see, I graduated high school in 2006, and honestly, I wasn't that good of a student. I was fine. I didn't excel. I didn't fail. I was kind of in the middle. And if it weren't for things that I was interested in, like my theater class, my choir class, radio, and business classes, I might still be in school with you guys right now. Despite my lack of academic excellence, I went on to become an award-winning Emmy-nominated producer. At this point, I had abandoned Google Slides and had switched to Google Docs, and I started to write an outline of the things that I wanted to put into Google Slides, which resulted in everything that I've just said and everything that I'm going to continue to keep saying. Now, see, I'm no good at speaking off the cuff. I ramble, my points get confused, I leave things out. But when I sit down in front of a keyboard, I can organize my thoughts, and I can see them, I can feel them, I can move them around, I can make them easier to understand. I find the right stuff, if you will. And sidebar, this picture was taken in Edinburgh, Scotland, and this bookstore only sold novels written by female authors. At this point, I wrote another 3 or 4 paragraphs when I realized I was just retreading ground I'd already covered in an autobiographical video that I send out to new clients. So I struck everything out and put in this video instead. I would rather entertain and hope that people learned something than educate people and hope they were entertained. Hi, my name is Will Baker, and I'm an award-winning, Emmy-nominated video producer. And that quote from Walt Disney is how I approach every story I'm asked to produce. You see, I've never heard a story that I can't find a way to make better with a little bit of imagination and creativity. From an early age, I was always asking to borrow my dad's VHS camera to make home movies documenting family get-togethers, creating projects for school, like this one behind me where I interviewed my grandma about our family history, or documenting school events like homecoming, or even recording my sister's wedding reception when I was only 12. I grew up in the industry. My dad worked in radio, and some of my earliest memories were of going to the radio station with him. In high school, I was very active in the school's radio program, and I even won a few state awards.
WHJE is Central Indiana's only all-request station. Taking your requests all the time. Playing what you want, when you want.
I want to hear Other Side by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That led to me getting a full-ride scholarship at Vincennes University, where I learned every aspect of video production, including how to produce and direct a student-run newscast. And that led to me getting a paid internship as a news producer at the ABC station in Evansville, Indiana. I graduated during the Great Recession, and jobs were hard to find, but I landed one as a producer at WLFI. I proved to be a natural fit and was quickly promoted with more responsibilities. I was then hired at the most prestigious local news station in the nation, WTHR in Indianapolis. While there, I continued to learn how to thrive under tight pressure and even tighter deadlines, like the night a neighborhood exploded.
Eyewitness News starts now with breaking news.
2 people killed, hundreds forced out of their homes after 2 houses explode on the south side.
We've been following this breaking news all night long. We have the very latest on this community disaster.
But I wanted to do more. I wanted to flex my creativity, and that's when I was networked into a producer position at the PBS station in Indianapolis. I was hired on the spot based on my reputation and talent. And this began my transition from news to video production and storytelling. My producing career has allowed me to work with many amazing clients, including Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, former Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels, the late U.S. Senator Richard Lugar, Easter Seals Crossroads, the Greater Indianapolis Progress Committee, the Indiana Office of Tourism Development, Junior Achievement, the Girl Scouts, the United Way, and the PBS NewsHour, just to name a few. I've been awarded a First Place Society of Professional Journalists Award for the documentary Little Children, Big Returns, and that same documentary was also nominated for a regional Emmy.
We have a responsibility to our youngest children, and we've waited long enough. We've waited too long, and so now it's time. Let's not wait one more minute. I don't want to lose one more child to one more minute.
In addition to running my own company, I've also been the video production manager of a multi-million-dollar nonprofit organization. Now, let me put that experience to work for you, and let's create something truly special together. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that writing isn't just some boring stuff that you do here in the classroom. Writing can be anything. I first took a journalism class when I was in the 7th grade, and that really changed how I looked at writing. Instead of diagramming sentences, still don't understand what that's about, or learning parts of speech, I was actually writing about something. I was interviewing people, and I was learning about the world around me. I excelled in my speech classes and thrived during presentations. My senior year, I took a creative writing class. I still talk to that teacher, by the way, and I had him look over this before I presented it. I did really well on the free-form essays and the daily journaling, but I really struggled with writing fiction, and I still do. And Mr. Brickley, when he looked over this, said, creative writing doesn't mean necessarily fiction. Creative writing is any kind of writing. So, 20 years later, he's still giving me pieces of wisdom. Anyway, give me a piece of nonfiction to write, something to research, someone to interview, and I can come up with some award-winning stuff. Now here's another secret. Not only was I not that great of a student, I was and still am a terrible speller. I have to stop all of the time and look up a word in the dictionary or use voice to text or spell check or Google. And I'm not a great proofreader either. I'll read and reread something I've written. I'll pore over it for days and I'll think it's perfect, only to come back to it later and find all sorts of mistakes have sprouted over it like mushrooms in the night. So just because you might be struggling with the classwork part of it doesn't mean you should give up on writing. Now, to be a good writer, you also have to be a good reader. I read everything, new stuff, old stuff, fiction, nonfiction, magazines, novels, essays, poetry, comics, special mention to lyrics, and even TV shows and movies. Some of the best writing that I've heard has been in songs and TV shows. I'm also never far from paper and pen. I almost always have 3 or 4 fountain pens on me, along with a couple of notebooks, a pad of sticky notes, a highlighter, maybe a book or 2 in a magazine. Writing has impacted everything I've done and has unlocked many doors for me. It's how I express myself and it's how I synthesize the world. I've traveled the globe, I've met people, and I've had experiences I never could have dreamt of were it not for my writing. And here's another thing about writing. It's versatile. I started out writing promos and commercials for the radio. That evolved into writing scripts for short videos, which turned into news writing, which itself turned into researching and interviewing for documentaries, and then I found myself writing essays and articles. As a producer, storyteller, writer, a key component of my job is to share people's stories. But I have to be factual. I have to know how to find the correct sources, how to do the research, and how to present different points of view on a single subject. And unfortunately, in an era of disinformation and AI-generated content, knowing what's true is getting harder and harder. So how do we find credible or trusted sources? Well, according to Purdue Global, there are 7 checks you need to make. 1, who provided the information? By citing your sources or quoting a person directly, you provide your audience with a source that they can look up themselves, and they don't have to rely on your personal knowledge or take the chance that you're just making something up. 2, acknowledge any potential bias in your source. Who is behind the information you're looking at? Is it subjective? This place serves nasty tacos. Or is it objective? The Department of Health has given this restaurant 15 health code violations. 3, identify claims that don't have sources. Is there evidence for what's being said? Can you reach out to the Department of Health and verify those 15 health code violations? What's the purpose of the information? What's the author of the piece trying to do? Are they trying to inform you, or are they trying to convince you of something? Maybe they're the owner of a rival taco place and they're just trying to get people to come to their restaurant. When was the information published? Is it timely? Maybe those 15 health code violations were in 2005 under old management. What's your source's reputation? Is this generally a trusted source? Has it been around a long time, or is it brand new? Do people generally hold this source in high regard, or is it viewed as questionable? Is it just someone complaining on social media? And 7, verify references and citations. Much like identifying claims, are your source's citations authentic and reliable? Can you verify the information yourself by visiting the citation? But what exactly are trusted sources? To begin with, you can look at scientific journals or medical journals, college and university studies, like the one from Purdue Global I mentioned above, encyclopedias, news wire services such as the Associated Press and Reuters, or any resources that your teacher gives you, such as EBSCO, Gale, or Pebble Go. In the middle of our Venn diagram here, we can look to our established news media. That's ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox, all of those. First-hand accounts, online resources such as Wikipedia, personal websites, and opinion pieces. Now, the reason that these are in the middle is because we still need to go and look at these through our media literacy that we just talked about. Do these sources have obvious bias? What's their reputation? Do they have clear references and citations? So things like Wikipedia and personal blogs, anybody can just go on there and put out information. But where are they getting their information? Again, is it just an opinion? Same with first-hand accounts. If someone is a witness to something, that's one thing, but are they trying to spin what they saw to match their own biases? And as for sources that can't be trusted, we have social media, blogs, which are similar to opinion pieces, satire websites such as The Onion, where people make up comical stories to look like news stories, unnamed sources, or advertising and sponsored content. Now, this all just scratches the surface, but a good rule of thumb from when I worked in news is to have at least 3 sources before something is considered legitimate or confirmed. You have to use your media literacy skills again to discern the validity of your sources. Not everything is going to fit neatly into its own bucket. And doing research doesn't mean only finding points of view that align with your already held beliefs. Often, research means challenging your own beliefs. It means gaining a deeper understanding of your subject. And when I've been researching documentaries and other historical videos, I've spent many hours in libraries and archives looking up firsthand information myself or interviewing people who have firsthand knowledge of the subject. And it's kind of like putting together a puzzle. I want to show you another video. Like I mentioned in that first one, I started making videos when I was younger than you guys are now. And so this one just kind of shows where I started up until very recently.
It's official. Christmas time is here.
This is my grandma, and I'm going to ask her where we came from. So, Nana, where did we come from?
Well, your grandparents always lived in Hamilton County, and my grandfather built the house in 1898.
After this, I'm going to put some stuff that I did when I first got the camera. Some stuff I just went out in the yard and played with.
This monster right here is the accelerator. This sends you about 0 to 80 in about 2 seconds. As you see, it's a very intense ride. I did this one of the first rides I did with this house. Very intense, very exciting. Very short. The accelerator at not very far.
And this is probably the last entry for this little video project of mine.